Hello, everyone. Welcome to my stream today. Wait a minute. Okay. Sorry, guys. I turned down the volume for a little bit, so I apologize for that. It's always something. But anyway, welcome. And this is the edition right before the holidays. Although I have to say that if you're celebrating Hanukkah, then happy Hanukkah. That's already happening. I think it's this week, right? Festival of the Lights. It's such a good thing. And of course, too, then for Christians, and there's Christmas coming up too. So whether you are celebrating or not, I wish you all, good like peace and blessings, right? And then that's what the holiday is supposed to be, for everybody too. That I think the message is very universal. So, okay, so let me see. I'm kind of like getting all my stuff a little bit kind of not very organized today. I mean, as such, right? It's right before the holidays. There's always a lot of things going on. And me as a developer advocate, I travel so much. I found that now, towards the end of the year, all of a sudden, I'm already kind of like have to do all my paperwork, while meaning, I still have some expense reports to write and trip reports, all of these things. And then at the same time, too, I also had a couple of busy things to do, right? Say, for example, if you've been following me too, I also did a blog post for the Java Advent calendar, and that I wrote about event streaming. Although I have to admit that because of kind of a bit of a time pressure, I wasn't able to produce something longer than I had hoped. There was kind of deadline I got scheduled, actually was the week before. So as soon as I came back from all my travels, I was already busy getting that piece ready. And obviously, too, I was scheduled for the first week, right? The December the 9th. So let me share with you, too. Let me kind of shrink myself up so I don't take up too much room in here. And so let me see. Okay. A couple of things, right? So, and as such, I kind of named today's episode says Before the Blizzard. So if you are actually been following weather, right, and it's particularly, well, if you live in the Chicago area, the Midwest area, you know that there's like a big storm blizzard coming. It's supposed to be, I think for the Chicago area, it won't be like as much snow or moisture as much as it is for the wind. And the wind is always an issue here around this, this part of the country, because we are kind of in the middle, sort of almost kind of in the center, and also like in this piece of large continent, the North American continent, and right in the center. So we have warmer airs from the south, and in the meantime, the Canadian cold air is like moving down southward. So we're kind of right in the middle. So that's why I think, part of it, well, the thing is, you might have heard too, right? Chicago is the windy city. Although it also, this term is not just referring to the wind, or actually primarily wasn't used to describe the natural climatic effect, but it's actually more for the politics. That's kind of been always the case here. But the thing is too, is that, I mean, it is very true. If you take into a climate too, we're right in the center. And so kind of this meeting of the South and the North, the cold and the warm, it's always a lot of exciting things going on. It's always windy here. It's always, when it comes to winter time, it does get to be quite harsh too, is the word to use. And I am not looking forward to that. And because, and talking about which too, I've this friend, he's also a Java champion, Hilmer, a good friend of mine. So he was just recently asking me, was saying that, whoa, I heard about, now, by the way, Hilmer is based in South America, in Colombia, exactly. So a very rich naturally rich, resources country, closer to the tropics, so they have warmer climate there. But so for him to be asking, how is it like in the cold? Yeah, it is very cold, and being in the latitude we're in, not actually very north, but again, because of the location, it just gets to be quite the winters can be quite severe, although not as severe as maybe our northern border, the brothers, right, in brothers and sisters in the northern Canada, or maybe northern, a little more northern states, right, in the U.S. And for example, like Minnesota, they get really, really cold by the Great Lakes and all of these things. So I mean, it's still not the coldest, but it is cold. So, and I was also talking with, so Hilmer was asking, well, then how do people survive? Well, we do have indoor heating, but the thing is that it's just sometimes no matter what you do, it seems like it's just always so cold. You go outside and it's just the wind and everything, it just kind of, it comes through to your bones, like my colleague was just describing, and she's from California, so she's saying that, well, this cold, it's really like comes to your bone. Yeah, I don't even know how to describe it. And some days, we have temperature, I'd say, a majority maybe of you in the viewing, maybe more used to Celsius. So I think we're about -10, -20 Celsius, I'd say, in the colder months. But so for Fahrenheit, it would be about the teens, right? Like 10, 20 degrees, kind of like it's more like the normal. But then the wind, can make it really, really cold, feel very cold. It could be like -40 too, which we had, when the El Nino effect took place 5 or 6 years ago with that big cold that came from the Arctic. And in fact, Alaska, I think all the Antarctica or Arctic Circle was actually warmer that time than Chicago. It was just really, really cold. You walk outside, you felt, oh, like -55, -60 wind chill. So it's kind of, you don't want to be going outside without any protection or covering on your face or your hands. It's just, I went outside to get my mail in the mailbox, which isn't that far, right? It's a short walk. And whoa, I came back inside. I felt it was hurting. It hurt so bad. But anyway, so that's the blizzard that's coming. So that's why I named today is like before the blizzard, because I'm not looking forward to it, but just wanting to do something to kind of cheer up, to get things in, kind of like not to be like dragged down by it, so to speak. So anyway, let me get into here. Yeah, we were looking into that example, right? That my co-speaker. And by the way, our talk got accepted to DevNexus. And also too, for folks, if you're, especially if you're interested, oh, by the way, this is our, CJUG, my Chicago Java Users Group. We're having a virtual holiday party. So look at this, how exciting. So this is my virtual party room that I've set up. Is if you guys have played with the Gather Town or Spatial Chat, it's kind of like that, right? So it is pretty cool, I think. Anyway, so if you are wanting to join now, I don't mean to divert your attention, but since we're here, we still, we can have up to 25 people. And, I love to invite everybody, and I like to pay for everybody too. Now we do get a free tier access, but that's up to like 25 people. The thing is that if folks like yourself, if you sign up but then you don't show up, what do? Right? We pay and we can't get the money back. So we have kind of decided, okay, let's not waste the little money we get. We're a nonprofit, we don't have any income, the organization, so we're doing everything, everybody's doing everything, we pay out of our pocket most of the time, right? Some things too, yeah, we can get back a bit of a reimbursement for it, but I go into the city, I pay for my parking too, so things like that, right? So anyway, every little bit counts. So so I have not actually paid for any additional user, but we are now accepting up to 25 people. But so far, I think the sign up is like still not that great. Let me take a look. Okay, let's go over there. Okay, oh, this is not the one. We want to go to Chicago Java Users Group. It's kind of slow, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Look, we actually have 3,352 members now. Please consider joining us. I think we're still trying to do a lot of things, like a lot of talks, a lot of great speakers from not just, in the US, not just in our region. We have those as well. We have local people, but we also invite international folks too. And we had last time, right, we had Jakob from Poland to come, Hazelcast engineer, very experienced, talking about testing, right, for microservices. But anyway, again, I diverted. So sorry. So let's go to here. CJUG Holiday Virtual Get Together. And this is the one. And let me share with you, because if you want to sign up, let me see how many people. We still have only 16 and we still have 9 seats, right? To for people to join. If you want to join, please feel free. It's at 7 p.m. at Central Time. But I do have to say, if you are in Central European time, then it's going to be like midnight. But as such, too, because over here, too, we can't have it a little sooner. There are still folks working, so we have to run it in the evening. So, but the thing is, too, is that if there are actually enough folks, from other areas who are interested, too, I can always consider having events, too, and include folks from Europe too, and I would love to, but it's just that I'm not getting enough responses back, actually even from all sides. So we have to take the default, and there are people in the US central region, so more like the time zone is more suited for US. So I apologize if you want to join us and you're based in the European time zone. But let me know, though. You can write me, let me know if I hear from enough of you. Like I said, there are events or meetups or things like that we can schedule. And actually, we do have 2 meetups coming up too in the new year, in January and February, that we will be having these speakers that are from Europe too. So as such, then it would be like lunchtime for US Central Time Zone, and then it would be 7 p.m. like in Central European time. So for folks in Europe, you'll be welcome to join. But right now I'm still waiting, and just a bit of a sneak preview. We should be having Adam Ban, right? He's like a Java champion too. That he'll be, he's an independent consultant, very good. He has his own podcasts, right? The Air Hacks and all of these things. So he's a great guy. I met up with him in Poland too, back in October at a conference. And so I'll be on his podcast in January, and he'll be coming to us, everything's virtual, but he'll be coming to visit CJUG too and give a talk. So watch out for the space. And then, and I've been meaning to share with you what am I doing, and I'm not doing that yet, which is while I'm talking, share with you. So if you want to sign up, okay, so this will be Chicago Jug Virtual Holiday Get Together night, right? I would say December 21st, 7 p.m. Central. So like I said, right now we still have some space, right? So if you want to join, you're welcome to. And if you need the link, if I see new folks, then I will send you the link directly, because the links are limited in the number of people who can come. So I can only send to so many. So I can't just be publishing that link. So, but like I said, if you're wanting to join, we still have space at this point. So please consider joining. And let's see. Let me see. Let me kind of refresh. If anybody has still signed up, we had 16. We still have 16, but mainly, at the. I hope more people show up, but again, if you don't, that's okay too. And then if you want to, follow us, and basically also going to Chicago Java Users Group and to the meetup. And also say join us too. I think if you haven't joined, that it should come up and say join us, right? So I'd like to invite you to join us. So please, you click on the link to our event, and then go to the main page, and you can click on join too. So, and then like I said, we'll have Adam coming in January. Then we have Philip Cran from Elasticsearch also coming here to do a talk, and he's based in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, either the UK or somewhere in Central Europe. So also European time zone. So we're going to have like the February talk too, also in midday. And by the way, too, because of how cold it is, right, in Chicago, so there's no sense of running any in-person events in the meantime. And still, a lot of folks, I believe, are still working from home remotely. So rather than having events in person and then having almost no one show up or very little, and it costs a lot of time for some of us, me, primarily myself and my helper, the financial helper, the treasurer, I should say, treasurer and videographer who actually commute would commute long ways, right? Both of us, and in where we live, we live kind of 20, 30 miles away, which is like 40 kilometers away. So rather than having us going into the city and then having only two people show up, we're just going to do it virtual for January and February. So hopefully the weather will start to improve then in comes March, right? March and April for sure. We should be able to run something in person again. So that's it. So that's my little advertisement of my user group, and like I said, right, come and join us and just a preview of our party room in here. So if you want to join, feel free. And like I said, this is actually quite cool too. If you join, if you've used some of things like this, you can turn on your your video and also the audio to talk to. So over here, as you can see, right, you can see me, but over there too, in that spot. Oh, actually, I'm kind of blocking. But anyway, so you can actually turn on your video and audio to chat with people in the room, and then you can actually go to a corner and speak to the people only in your area. So I think this is pretty nice kind of thinking and design. It's called proximity chat, right? So you only allow the audio and visual effect, or actually visual, I think it's available for the whole room, but the audio perimeter is pretty narrow for each. So then if you want to talk to someone, you have to actually move your figure, right? Like over here in this case, right? I can move over here, move over there. And actually, you know what? Here too, this room is pretty cool. You can actually set up, like you said, see over here, I basically have set it up. If you get near here, okay, and actually, let's get back over here. No, over here, okay. This one, it says, okay, press X to interact, right? So what do I have? I'll just say, thank you for joining CJOG. So little small things like that. But over here too, if I go over to this one, I'll say, watch the last meetup in November, right? So things like that. And then this is our, soon to be our silver sponsor, Fusion Auth. So if you do that too, I actually bring you over here is the Fusion Auth promo video kind of, or intro. I shouldn't say so much like marketing things. So, okay, but they're good guys, right? And over here, JFrog will be another of their promo kind of introduction, right, to JFrog. So I just want to kind of bring some knowledge, or information about our sponsors to you, the participants. So yes, so if you want to join, please kind of consider joining us. I think it will be kind of fun, right? And just to have something, right, to just chat. There's really, it's meant to be very low key. Nothing like you need to be presenting. But I was just saying that if you want to share anything, we can have some short talks. And I plan to maybe talk a little bit about event streaming. And I may not need to, because if there are enough folks who want to share, you can share too. It's just more like I'm thinking if people are interested, I can gather in the corner and then I'll do a bit of introduction of event streaming about Apache Pulsar to people, or just start a discussion, right? So that's the idea. It can be on any subjects that interest people. And one of the things actually I have to say that's been very interesting. I mean, from a more Java point of view, as you know, Java, we have this community process. So all the features, right, are kind of essentially driven by the community. And they have this thing called Java Community Process, JCP, which is really nice. If you have a new feature, you can propose it. And then they, once accepted, right, it becomes like a formal feature. And for example, the one of the major feature, I think, was JCP, was it 425? But that's actually Project Loom. Project Loom deals with virtual threads. So if you are kind of into concurrency programming, threading, it's an exciting feature for Java because it's basically starting to allow for threading to be done on the virtual level. As you know, that otherwise too, it's been always threading on the kernel level. So it's very restricted by the hardware. So having virtual threads, which means you can have threads that are unlimited, essentially, right? So that's the idea. So I think that's very interesting. And then how can it be applied to like event streaming, right? So basically too, it's not going to drastically, let's say, change something unless, the library that is doing concurrency type of processing, leveraging on this virtual thread library that will be forthcoming. So anyway, that should be interesting. So I just thought maybe have some discussions on that. And then, of course, there are folks who are interested maybe in more microservices, or even I think from my survey, there are a lot more folks are seem to be interested. Not say a lot, but quite a more folks are interested in more like Java, the JDK, right? The more like the language, the construct, the syntax, maybe of the rules of essentially the language itself. And I can certainly understand. And there are folks actually telling me, well, I'm not actually so interested in all these system level stuff. Okay, to me, I'm thinking, okay, fair enough, if you're not interested. But to me, I find that if you are, even if you're a programmer, right, I think, in my opinion, you should be at least be aware of what's going on the system level, on the compiler level, all of these things, because it affects how your system runtime would be too. I mean, and I understand very much, even on each layer there's so much complexity. If you want to be very good at it, maybe you don't want to spend too much time on other layer. I can understand that. But the thing is, though, we don't work in isolation. We should kind of be open up to learning about things on all levels, put it like that. But anyway, that's just my thought. Okay, so enough of this thing. Let me then go back to this work that we were doing. Now, I thought I would have time to do more investigation into why, with this basic, Kafka example, wouldn't be able to run, right? And so let me take a look again, okay? And let me kind of make it a little bigger. So let me see. I'm kind of moving myself on the left hand side on your screen, because on the right hand side I was blocking some of these kind of access, right? So okay, so like this. Okay, and by the way, I'm playing like holiday music, but if you want something else, you can always tell me too. But anyway, let me kind of take a look over here, because I have something to kind of be controlling too, just to see, there are folks in here, questions and all of these things. But okay, so let's kind of get back into it. So, assuming that you were here last week, I'm just going to pick up from where we left off. But the thing is, let's a little bit of introduction again. We were actually working on my co-presenter. Our talk, by the way, get accepted into DevNexus, and I was going to show you that, because if you're interested in DevNexus too, DEVNEXUS. .com. Maybe some of you are familiar with it, right? DevNexus.com. Let me let me share with you too, because maybe some of you, and I know that even for my CJUC member, they actually would pay for it and go there, because there's just so much good talks and good speakers there. For example, Vancat, right? If folks who are in the Java space and JavaScript space, there's a great, amazing, not just great, amazing, awesome speaker. His name is Vancat Subramaniam. Amazing person, right? I think I might have talked about him before. So he is going to be speaking in DevNexus too. So as you know, if he speaks, he would be drawing everybody to his room. I do kind of like to say to him, and he's a great person too, and how nice, to have a superstar, not a bit of arrogance, very down to earth, very, very, kind of sincere and genuine human being. I just like him so much. He's just somebody I respect, ultimate, respect for him. Anyway, so Vancat will be there. So let me kind of share with you too. So DevNexus, and I think my friend Pratik, who is Pratik and Vince, who are the main organizer of DevNexus, they are also Atlanta Java Users Group leaders, in case you're interested. So they will be very happy, because over here, right? So I cover myself, but over here too is basically, let me kind of move it over there, because I am blocking myself and you can't see why can't I do this? Sometimes it's kind of funny, isn't it? Here we go. I guess I can't kind of uncover myself. Okay. All right. Anyway, it covered myself, but that's okay. But this is the link, right? DevNexus.com. So you can go over here, and over here too, if you kind of look, right, and the sessions, just wanted to show to you. And by the way, I'll be talking about Apache Pulsar and Apache Kafka over here. So this is me, and then Code Turk, who is my co-speaker, because he's been working a lot with Kafka. He's more of a consultant, so he works with different libraries and toolings as needed too. And he has spent a good amount of time with Kafka streams, Micrometer and Kotlin too. So he has actually some real life example in production that he helps his clients with. So which is wonderful. And so he put together this example, and that's what we're going to try. What I started trying last week, because we're going to kind of talk about to examine, to see how can we actually, best of both worlds. There are people that says, oh, well, Kafka is going to be taken over by Pulsar, and Pulsar, rule the world, whatever. But the thing is that they each have their advantages and advantages. So we like to examine into that and give a fair kind of assessment, comparing the two. And also, too, the goal is to be able to take the best of both worlds and try to bridge them together. And how do we do that, right? So that's another thing, using event streaming, you can actually do kind of, so to speak, to build like data pipelines, then bridge and enable data to flow through different pipelines, right? So to speak, you build the pipelines. Pipelines are always made up of a source and then a connector, right? Source connector, and connects to a place where you can in memory do transformation or filtering, whatever you need, and then output all the results to another to a sink, right, to another destination, which is called a sink. The sink can in turn becomes the source to another data pipeline too. So the concept is very interesting in there. So how do we find examples to leverage on this kind of construct is what we're going to be talking about, is what it is. So okay, so that's that. And then I just want to see, right, so some of these other topics too, I think should be quite very interesting to everybody too, right? Looking over here, right? If you kind of browse through it, you can also go to this site, as I'm kind of sharing with you here. JSON data modeling and document databases, walking to school in the snow, or what do you do when you aren't building bridges with bricks or something, right? Like, let's see, well, who is that speaker? There's Jeremy Davis. Oh, okay, so I think he might be the DevOps. Okay, so he's a Red Hat person, Red Hat microservices community. So that would be interesting too, right? So a lot of very interesting topics will be discussed. CI/CD pipeline, right? Spring Cloud Gateway if you're into Spring, Azure, Spring apps, performance tuning, Java on Kubernetes. Future is serverless with Java, for example, service mesh, and all of these things. Cloud technology like Knative core concepts, right? Building streaming data pipeline. Oh, somebody's doing streaming data pipelines with Apache Kafka. Let's see who's doing that. I didn't even look. Danica Fine, she is with Confluent, so the Apache Kafka commercial company. And Amanda Gilbert. So they are both with Confluent. So I think that would be interesting too. I think I will also go to their talk and see how how it is being done, right, with Kafka streaming data pipelines, of these things. Then that's what is becoming kind of important, right, in modern day kind of construct, right. And over here too, look at these, right? Tale of Two Cities, blocking code versus non-blocking code from Java 17 to 21 and beyond. Loom, Project Loom, as I mentioned to you, with virtual threads, and Amber and Valhalla. These are like different, also like dealing with more of the language aspects. Like I think Amber, I don't even like remember exactly, but yeah, feel free to. These are like all kind of contain like very interesting features for the language too. And of course, there might be people saying that, well, Project Loom is just like coroutines in Kotlin. Yes, it is. I think it's similar to that. But then like it will be fitted more for the Java JVM. Well, Kotlin's also JVM, but like how JVM or Java is going to handle virtual threads, that would be interesting to find out, right? And there are talks on JDK 20 for Loom to Java. Let's see who's talking with that. Jose Pamal, and he's came from France. He's also the France Paris Java users group leader. That's right. And so, yeah, he would be really good too. He's a great speaker, and he's very deep, going deep into some of these things. So that would be really great. To Java 20 and beyond. Oh, that's Billy. Now, Billy came to, I used to work with him at IBM. He's still a Java developer advocate, but currently he's with Oracle. So with Java Platform Group. So that should be great too. And he also helps to organize the Kansas City Java Users Group. And also Kansas City Conference, the developer conference, KCTC, person. So yeah, so a lot of great people look at that. There are frameworks on other things, and there's also Pulsar specifically. And this one is, I believe, yeah, with Tim Span, and he's a developer advocate at Stream Native and DataStax and a couple other companies. We have committers for Apache Pulsar, the Apache open source project, and also Stream Native is actually the ones that are, they came from Yahoo, the engineering team, the majority of the development side engineering folks. So they're the original Apache Pulsar developers. So they started Stream Native as the commercial company for it. So, and Tim is a developer advocate. And Tim used to be with VMware, I believe. Yeah, Pivotal. That's it. So. Okay, so that's that. And there's Spring Boot, a lot of Spring. And obviously with Java is still kind of a heavy emphasis on Spring too. And somebody's talking about introducing Spring for Pulsar, and that would be with Chris Bono. Oh my gosh, Chris Bono and Chris Bonnet. Guess what? They are both my colleagues. At interesting with at DataStax. So yes, I'm aware of them. Kind of speaking at DevNexus too. So which would be nice. I'll get to meet them. Otherwise, I think they might be based in France, I think. So anyway, and then there are like Jakarta EE, the enterprise platform, Java platform, right? All of these things too, and practices and other tech. It seems like a lot of Apache Kafka, isn't it interesting? And software delivery principles, all of these things, observing Minecraft too. And security, that's how can we be without it, right? That's absolutely important. So a bunch of security topics, tools and techniques, right? They're also talking about Kotlin and a Maven, right? JDK flight recorder, test-driven development, Apache Pinot, food delivery. Oh, who's going to talk about Apache Pinot? Oh, that's Valerie Rigas. Because the thing is, I did a joint talk with this company called Startree, and they are the commercial company for Apache Pinot. I did it with Mark Needham, who's a developer advocate there, and we basically have an example of Apache Pulsar publishing data to the topic, and we're using a Pulsar client. So he's actually using a Pulsar client as the client to grab data from the pipeline coming from Pulsar to feed into Apache Pinot, the real-time analytic engine too. So interestingly too, with Apache Pinot, real-time analytics, that will be an interesting topic to also talk about, but I won't have time to talk about it today. But like I said, I did the talk on it. Is essentially dealing with data that's real time, right? So a perfect example, and also would be Apache, it'd be LinkedIn, the company where you log onto LinkedIn and it shows you, well, how many times your profile have been read, it's very real time to whoever is, has reviewed your profile will be immediately updated to display that statistics to you in your account too. So that's actually using Apache Pinot, because primarily too, they have a very fast index called Startree, their own proprietary implementation way of doing indexing to kind of get through all the data, slice and dice really fast. And so it is very interesting. So okay, so then there are tools and techniques, all of these things, and then there's also web and front end too. So a bunch of like some of the JavaScript stuff, TypeScript, Vue.js, and with JHipster, with Spring Boot. And let me see who's talking about this one. Theo LeBron. I don't know him. I think I've seen this name, but interesting, right? So he must be a JHipster person. Yeah, he didn't say he's actually contributed to JHipster. As you know, JHipster is also an open source project, right? And for that, and works very well with Spring. Kind of more for front end. So, okay, so I think enough of me kind of talking like this for too long. And let me kind of hide on stream. Okay, let me kind of get back now. I just, again, wanting to share with you. And then let's go back then to the Kafka example that we've been looking at, right? So again, with Cole, right? If you go to his GitHub, I actually already told him too. I'm essentially sharing his his project with with you guys, right? With my audience here on Twitch. So he's actually happy about it. I think because right now he has two small young boys, so he's too busy. But otherwise, too, I think when he gets back, when he has time, he can actually join this stream, and then we can be doing some of these demo together as well. But for now, let me kind of look through it, right? He basically has already set up this example based on his work, for some project too. And as you can see, we kind of, let's look back at it, right? This basic example essentially has a controller. Controller is what kind of controls publishing, right? This is where is producer uh, producing, right, the payment, and then and create the payment and everything. And that's what it is. It produces, right, the controller. And then another part will be then basic controller. And then there's also the Kafka part. Kafka would then have the producer, payment producer. Wait, oh, okay. So this is the producer. The other one is basically the driver that drives, kind of uses this, right? And so it processes the payment, and send the transaction. Send transaction here is going to process transaction, sending messages. And if the message is payment, then it's basically then it sends it using a Kafka template to send messages to the topic with the key and the message. So that's what it is. So okay, so it's a kind of very basic example as such, right? It's called like that. And so now let's take a look at the consumer too. Consumer will be over here. Consumer too, basically you use a what you call it, like a an annotation that tells that this is a Kafka listener. I'm a consumer that's listening on that topic, and that's how you do it. And that's what it is, right? Okay, so that's how you do it. And his example here is basically using a desktop version of Kafka too. So we do need to install Kafka, but the thing is too, let's do it like this, right? Like I said, I think the last time I was working on it is basically here. So this is what I'm doing now is I'm using, okay, make it a little bigger, but basically using code space, from GitHub, which is kind of a really cool thing, I think, that you can immediately open up this his getting a snapshot of his of codes of a repo, right? And then basically open it up so I can start working on it immediately. This is a very cool feature. I really like it too. So like I said, but the thing is, it's interesting is that when I open it, it goes from the top of his repository, so it takes in everything. But we're working on the JetBrains payment engine. Basic example is what we're looking at. So this is what we're looking at. So we can kind of do a bit of a review in case you're all new in here, right? So over here too is interesting. What is it doing now? This is 12:14. Yes, so that was from last time. Um, okay, so I think let me kind of take a look at this. So I think we're good, and then the ports too. Okay, so these are just a configuration, right? Okay, so okay, all right. So okay, so don't mind me. Maybe I'm gonna start working on it again to kind of looking at it. I just did not have time to look at it last week, so let me kind of take a look at this first and making sure. Yeah, so let me. Oh, hold on a minute too. Let me kind of take a look at some things over here, and then I'll get back to you if you're looking. Let me know too if you're here, if you have any question, if you're interested in anything. But let me take a look. Yeah, 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 yep. Okay, okay. Let me see. this is actually, sorry about that. And sometimes, as me as an organizer, because I'm doing the CJUC event, so there are people who are asking me questions, so I need to answer them. So, and that's another thing. I'm trying to do too many things all at once. So, apology. So, okay, all right. So let me kind of get back to here. If you are here, because I can't actually tell who is here, so I just wanted to to know if you may have questions, or if anything, if you are interested to get to know more about this project, or if you are just learning, or if you are just casually looking at to see what's going on here. And we're working with primarily Java at this point. And so now, the thing is, I wanted to point out is that it may sound like a bit, kind of like, if you're not familiar with it, oh, well, Java, is kind of like, it's difficult and hard to use. And I agree, not to say anything. In comparison, it's not as easy to kind of pick it up, so to speak, right? You have to do a lot of things in, okay, what's going on? Okay, it's just saying some things about my app, so I'm not going to pay attention. So basically, don't. What I'm trying to say is that don't be kind of getting, you know, uh, finding it to be, kind of intimidating, so to speak, right? Don't. So to me, I think it's just more like, if you once you get used to it, it's actually not as hard as you think. It's kind of becoming like just like any other programming language. True, you will need certain setup in the environment. I think maybe that's where it's not as clear. I do have to say, for some reason, I do have to say too. Sometimes, people who invent, all these complex algorithms, runtime, all of these things, they seem not to pay attention to the interface with humans. And they probably make a lot of assumptions, that saying that, well, people should know. Yeah, I agree. Well, sometimes you should know. But the thing is, too, I think, right, is what I think is, we all think differently, right? So unless you explain something clearly, people may not understand. And that doesn't reflect on the person not knowing. And I think, it's just that we are all gifted in each of our own ways, in how we interpret things, how we design things, how we, use things, or read things, whatever it is, how we take an input. And I think it is very important that we share what our vision, or how we think, and articulate and explain to other people, so then they understand what it is. I mean, that's my thinking, right? So to me, I'm thinking, I may kind of do things this way, but this way may not, make sense to other people if they don't think like I do. So I am attempting to explain like why. And you make other people think. So likewise, if I'm looking at something that's kind of complicated and I don't know, and I expect to learn from other people to say, okay, this is how you do things, and this is how your thinking is. It may not be perfect what I think, right? But sometimes there might be reason too, right? There are so many reasons. We live in a complex world. But anyway, that's just my thinking. So here we go again. So let me not like spend as much time kind of like talking. So let's kind of get into here and look at these, right? Okay, so what I should do at this point, okay, I think bash fish. What is fish? That is so interesting. I never heard of it. Let me kind of take a look. Let me split terminal and say fish. What is fish? Welcome to fish. Oh, it's the friendly interactive shell. It's called fish. This is so interesting. This is a new thing to me. I think I'm only learning it here. I mean, so maybe some of you too, right? There's help. How to use fish, type help, nothing. There's nothing on fish. Oh, okay, all right. Well, at least I learned something, that there's a thing called fish. Okay, this is just interesting. So I'm gonna close it for now because I'm not gonna use it. So let me get back. We're on bash, I think this one, right? And problems. Okay, no problems. Okay, so it essentially has already kind of clear all of my stuff here. So let me kind of take a look. What are these messages? So these messages are essentially from last time, I believe. So what we can do now, the thing is too, is that I have already, if you recall, I think last time, let's kind of go back to the code in here. We have first identified the essentially to configure the topic. So the way to do it, all of these are being done in a manual sense, right? There's no GUI to help you. So when you code, you use annotations like configuration, and then essentially these are like each one of them are beans, each topic. So we define 5 beans, right? The new topic of balance, payments, fraud, blacklist, and rewards. So this is how we did it. And then the next thing is to do controller. This controller is sort of like the main entry, I think, to the program. The driver, so to speak, is a REST controller. And then basically required arcs constructor, annotation, and then we implement our controller. Is a post, kind of call, right? And what is talking about now? Null annotation types have been detected in the project. Do you wish to enable null analysis? Okay, let's not worry about it now. Sometimes I think these things are little becoming too annoying and distracting me. So I'm not gonna. I'm gonna just ignore it for now because these two we coded up and believed to be correct. And so um, basically, payment producer will call the process payment in here, and we pass it create payment, and also we create the payment and basically send the payments to the topic called payments topic, right? And then essentially then we'll return response, dot OK, say created payment. The thing is too is essentially we call the process payment. So if it comes back with a status that isn't good, essentially, then we will just return the status of HTTP status internal server error, which is like 500, right? And that's what we do. Okay, so again, these are really basic, as you can see. All right, so then let's take a look at the exception. We're doing a filter exception. Exception too can be quite basic in this case. It just extends runtime exception, and then essentially, as you can see, filter exception takes the string, the message as a string, and essentially call the parent super with the message, right? So okay, and then we get into Kafka, the producer. Let's take a look at the producer side first. So over here. Over here too, as you can see, producer, we are payment producer, and create this Kafka template. What is Kafka template, right? Let's kind of take a look. Let's see if we can go to definition. Okay, no definition. Okay, that's fine. Let's take a look too. I think that might be important. Let's kind of take a look at Kafka. All right, so that's what we're looking at. So essentially, that's right, because this is also a what you call it. It's a a Spring. We're using Spring 2 framework for this implementation. So we're using the Kafka template, and this template is essentially it extends object and implement Kafka operations. So essentially, build out a template for us, so then we can, for executing, for operating in the runtime, executing high level operations. So basically, you can use with the default Kafka producer factory, and the template is also thread safe. So think of it more like a small container that is ready for you to run within a Kafka context in Spring. So okay, so I think it looks good enough, right? And so that's what it is. And let's kind of then go back to here. So essentially, too, we set up the Kafka template, and then basically then we can implement the process payment, which basically is going to take the specific record base and also the topic name, and then process, which means that we are ready to send the transaction to the topic of interest, and also then pass in the payload, right? This is the account payload in here. So new account, and also then the payment as well. So interesting. Send payment. Okay, so let's take a look at see what send payment does. It takes in the topic, the account, pass in the account key, and also then with this specific record base with the message too. So if the message itself is a payment, then basically then take it, right? If it is a payment, an instance of payment, then basically we'll get the IBAN number and compare it. Now, if we compare, and this one is actually, is it, if the if the payment is get IBAN, if we know that this one, we know it is an exception, then we will output it as an exemption. And basically then, kind of throw this filter exception up, right? Up a level, throw it. So otherwise, if it's awkward, we take the template and then use the template. We can directly like send it to the topic with the payload, with the key and the message too. So yeah, so it seems like it's simple enough. This example is real basic because it's only one producer and sending one message in this case. So we'll take a look at the payment consumer. From the consuming side, what do we do? Payment consumer. Now, on the consumer, then we set up Kafka listener. Let's take a look to Kafka listener. Some definition of it, right? Kafka. Oh, it's an annotation interface. So you annotate it, target, type, method, and annotation type. Retention, it is a runtime thing. Message mapping, documented and repeatable. This basically is an annotation interface that marks a method to be the target of a Kafka message listener on the specified topics, right? A container factory identifies the Kafka listener container factory to use to build the Kafka listener container. If not set, then a default container factory is assumed to be available with the bean name of Kafka listener container factory unless an explicit default has been provided through configuration. So it's basically this process is performed by registering this annotation bean post processor. You can do it manually or more conveniently through enable Kafka annotation. Okay, so that means you can actually annotate or configure it too. Annotated methods are allowed to have flexible signatures similar to what message mapping provides, and that is consumer records to access to the raw Kafka message or acknowledgement to manually act. And then a payload annotated method. Arguments include the support of validation, header annotation, right? To annotated method arguments to extract a specific header value. A headers annotated argument that must also be assignable to map for getting access to all of the headers too. So that's what it is. And why is it so strange? I think my thing isn't quite right. Let me take a look. I am finding this to be kind of strange. All right, I think it's okay. I hope you guys are not blocked, by this strange kind of lines. I don't think I'm setting something up correctly, so that's what it is. So, okay, single message listener container is used to service all methods annotated with the Kafka handler. Method signatures of such annotated methods may not cause any ambiguity, such that a single method can be resolved for a particular inbound message. The messaging message listener adapter is configured with multi-method Kafka listener endpoint. Okay. Well, that's a bit of a details in there, but for what we need, we probably don't need to know a lot of stuff. But just so we know too, we understand Kafka listener is an annotated interface in here, and so you can basically annotate it, right, which topics is listening on and all these things. So when message comes to, we know, it goes into consume, and it consumes, takes in the consumer record, and also then in this case, then it will do consumer record value and then set the payment too. So essentially consumes it and then set the payment in here and set that. And that's what it is. I think, how does it return? I guess it doesn't return, it just essentially consume. All right, so we take a look at this, and then this one is the payment engine. Essentially, okay, so entry point, Spring Boot application, and it's basically main will basically be doing the Spring application dot run in here and start it. Okay, so that means it can operate on its own. So why don't we just try it again? Last week, for some reason, could be in a hurry, I actually never got to actually build and run it. So let's take a look. Is it big enough? This actually seems like it's kind of small, isn't it? Oh, this actually a little too maybe this way. Okay, this might be better. Okay. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. I'm actually getting another message, so let me kind of make sure I address some of these messages first. I'm sorry because of the so sorry. There's just some work related stuff that I needed to be checking. Okay, here I'm back again. All right, let's try to build it. And so this is my workspace and Kafka, and we're in JetBrains. Okay, we're in payment engine. Okay, we should be able to say npm compile. Let's see if it compiles. Oh, that's all? That's interesting. I guess it says is compile is no sources to compile. So maybe I need to say, what does he say with the README? Okay. Oh, we need, that's right. What am I thinking about? We need to actually run this in Docker as the way it's set up, right? All of these things. Follow when filled in, execute embedded Kafka integration test. But I think this is where we kind of stop, right? In the source code, follow all the comments and begin from the config to controller to the producer, and then the consumer, and then when filled in the code, execute this test. Okay. And but he doesn't say how. Uh, I thought we can just run. What we can do basically is go over to here, payment engine. Let's see if I can just do a build in here. I guess there's no build, or maybe even over here. Oh, interesting. So how do we run, right? I have to tell him run and debug. Okay, let's see if that works. If I highlight on payment engine and say run and debug, to customize run and debug, oh, I have to do a launch.json. Let's take a look. Okay, this is launch. Oh, he already actually done that? All right, so this is the launch. So could we then run it? Is what I'm kind of looking at. Okay, so how do I run it? Launch. Oh, launch the current file. Launch. Oh, let's do that. Launch engine application. I think that's the thing I wanted to launch first. I think let's see if it launched. Output debug console. No. And problems. What are the problems? Oh, I think now I remember. Isn't it funny sometimes just do not remember. Uh, Actually, let me clear all of these and then let's try it again. This guy. Let me clear because I don't know. It could be something from the previous week too. Wait, no, not this. Hmm. Code spaces. Where? How did I tweet? No notification layout. Okay, JSON. Okay, where did it go? Uh, oh, here we go. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Okay, let me do it again. Launch. Let me launch this payment engine application. But I want to clear. How do I clear this whole thing, right? Problems. I just wanted to output. Okay, debug. Uh, Terminal. Okay, I'm on the terminal, but uh, all right. So I actually do want my. Oops. Sometimes these things are not as easy to use, isn't it? Okay, here we go. Now I can bring it back, but I basically wanted to say the problem part. Let me clear it. I guess I cannot clear this whole panel. Is what I'm trying to do. No, there's only. All right, so here we go. Okay, at least now I can navigate it a little better. But I wanted to say, I don't care about all of these. Let me refresh it. How do I do it, right? Uh, this guy is open changes. Close all close saved. Enable preview editors. Launch. Launch target. Launch. Launch. Launch targets. Hmm. There's no such thing that says clear it and restart, right? Okay, that's all right. Let's take a look at this and see source code. Okay, I don't want to commit. Explorer. I wanted to say this guy. No, this manage settings. Just bear in mind too. This is my first time using this, so I mean, not first time, but it's not like I've used it many times. So, so let me kind of take a look how I could clear this whole panel of stuff in here. If let me see if anybody's chatting maybe over there. If folks you can tell me would be good too. Somebody, oh, there's also I'm getting a lot of messages. I thought it was somebody else, but that's okay too. I'm trying to actually work on a book as well. So I also have another work group going on, but the book is more of a background project rather than a foreground, so to speak. So it's something I'm doing at the side, but it's kind of in line too with what I'm doing every day. So it's not like completely off key, so to speak. But anyway, so that I think that would be good because then I also wanted to spend a bit more time on some of these coding work. Then I can contribute some of these information to the book project itself. So a hint to you is that this would be still like working with more of a concurrency aspect of the book. So as you can see, it's not going to be something very straightforward, so to speak, but it's definitely an area that interests me so much that I really have to start to um, produce a bit more writing on it is what I'm thinking. Writing and also code samples too. So that's what it is. So and let me kind of take a look. Oh, maybe you know what? My, okay, here there's this thing. This 59. I wonder if I clear it. No, this isn't about clearing it. Here we go. Remote. Okay, so hide problems. I don't want to hide it. I wanted to clear. Oh, maybe this guy. synchronize changes. All right, let me if oh, I won't. No, I won't push changes to codes. I'm just more like taking his stuff and start working on it, right? So uh, this is the one, and I'm just essentially my own sandbox. I want to keep it this way. Um, all right. Well, anyway, this is kind of a strange thing, but the thing is, too. Let me, you know what I'll do? Maybe if I completely restart this, maybe it might get rid of some of these things. So let me give that a try. So settings. Oh, okay. Maybe over here too. My problems. Uh, extension no and remote co-space workspace maybe. I basically wanted to say I wanted to clear that whole thing because I think this is like more than what I'm looking for. So I can't tell what is going on. And see, this is talking about co-motion, the other things, right? So it has a bunch of its other things. So maybe what I could do is go back to the. This one is JetBrains. Oops. Looks like you know what is a bad call, meaning I thought I kind of like muted it, but I guess I didn't mute my phone. So let me do that right now. I might not have remember. I thought I had, but maybe I lowered the volume, but without actually lowering all of the volume. So apologize for that. And sometimes too, just so you know, and maybe some of you have too. I mean, our phones keep getting kind of a scam that are scam calls. So thankfully, my service is able to spot if certain callers are valid or not. So that was very very good. So at least I'm able to kind of like stop that call from coming through. So, okay, so here we go. Let me go back to launch. But if I'm in launch, right, how do I actually launch? This is something sometimes it's kind of like hard to do. Oh, you know what? Oh my gosh, I cannot remember. The fact is that actually we're supposed to run this in Docker. So with start.sh. So that's what I should do actually. Let me go back to here. Okay, clear it. Okay, I'm in this one. So I think I remember, is it like common? Common Docker. Okay, here we go. That's the start. It's just basically doing a Docker compose up in here. So, and we can take a look too at the compose Docker compose YAML file. Sorry, maybe this is too much. Let me kind of. Okay, as you can see over here is, well, it is using Zookeeper, this version of Kafka. Zookeeper is what kind of keeps your your infrastructure kind of keep them the metadata, everything, right? Kind of manage, kind of think of a higher level like cluster manager, but in a Docker container, we'll be managing your containers too. So, okay, so it has Kafka, Zookeeper, excuse me, and all right, so he is actually already has all of these things set up. So okay, so it also has the Kafka UI as well. Okay, so we're gonna trust this and going to run this because everything's just gonna be all run within the container. So I think then we should be able to say start start.sh. Okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, I can try to. Okay, it's not going to run yet. That's all right. Yeah, because this is still being uh, built, or kind of, Docker Compose up is basically making it run at this point. So, All right, folks. I'm sorry. I actually do need to start to get ready too for our for the CJUG holiday party, which will be in about 2 hours, 2.5 hours or so. So let me kind of finish building this and see what happens. And not it. This isn't built, right? This is kind of the Docker Compose, uh, essentially, kind of like launching, so to speak, right? Launching it in Docker, everything. So all right. So while that is going, let me also, I need to check check these other things. Okay. But looks like it's okay. You know what I'll do in the meantime while that's going? I'm gonna check just to see if there we may get more people wanting to come to the party tonight. That is still going, by the way. I guess we only still have about 16 attendees, which is okay. I mean, it's not an issue. I'm sure too. I mean, right now everybody's busy. The fact that we actually get like 16 folks sign up, I'm actually more than surprised, or kind of, I should say, because I really thought, nobody would want to come for some reason. But like I said, right, sometimes if you're passionate about community events, you don't really worry so much about it. Are people going to come or not? You just have good intention. You want to set things up and, let those who have time, who want to come, and then just see how many people show up, and that would be okay too. And I feel that sometimes, if that's the thing, you go to events, maybe not everybody, a lot of times people are curious, or if they're interested, they just want to come. But for someone who's truly interested, will hang out longer. So that's great. I'm hoping maybe at least, two or three people, if they are real interested, then we'll get a conversation going, which should be good too. So anyway, this actually is still going. And as you can see, it's going to take a bit of time. This actually is taking too long, isn't it? Um, this, let's see if there's something not going. I think maybe it is up. Let's see what happened. I think we have we'll take a look and see what the README says, right? So essentially, too, that's what we're doing. We go and then we're running start.sh. Uh, okay, and but I'm not sure like why this actually is a bit unusual if it has to be running like this nonstop. So let's kind of take a look. Let's see if we could kind of nail down some of these things to see, because I wonder if sometimes too it could also be, but if it's all Dockers, basically there's no need for me to be running anything other than just Docker up, compose up, right? And everything is all contained within the Docker container. So even I am not quite sure what is going on. Let's go to debug console. Debug, of course, is not there yet. I think terminal. This is still okay. Let me kind of take a look now. Is this feedback? No notification. Oh, maybe this is finally calmed down a little bit. Maybe it did take that long too. So I am sincerely not sure what is going on. From what Code told me was that yeah, it should work. And of course, he probably didn't actually take a look into this and actually run it in separate environments. So let me. I'm not gonna kill the terminal, but this has become a little bit too unusual. A bunch of I do see it saying unknown error. So opening socket connection to server. Zookeeper will not attempt to authenticate using SASL. Unknown error. So some warning. These are not error, but it's just a warning because of Zookeeper not able to um, make the connection. So unresolved address exception, client connection opening, socket connection to server, Zookeeper. It almost seems to me like right now there's some issue on the Zookeeper side. So even I am not exactly sure what is going on. There are also, let's take a look at the ports too. It looks like these are the ports that have been forwarded, right? Okay, so you know what we'll do? Let me take a look at this. It definitely doesn't seem like uh, it does seem like something is not, you know, appear to be right. So wait. So now, I mean, it does seem like something is up, but this is still kind of a little bit odd. So how can we be sure, right? So let me do this. I think I should be able to say over here, local address, right? Running process. Let me kind of run this and see. Open in browser. Okay, let's see what happened. Oh, so, all right. So this one is okay. It looks like something is good, but let's also take a look at this one. Oh, this is the one keeps getting bad gateway. Okay, let me take a look at this one. This also is getting a bad gateway. So this will be the second, or I think that was, yeah, that was it. So the second and the third are getting a bad gateway, but the 22181, let's see what this is. Okay, this also is getting a bad gateway. So not sure what exactly is going on. I wonder if I completely kind of shut this down. Let's do a stop first and then see what happens. How about that? Although this actually seems like things have calmed down, there is some. Uh, well, I think the I/O connection is coming from what I was doing just now, right? Trying to uh, basically open up a session connecting, and this is using NIO, which is the Java new IO for asynchronous stuff. Let's take a look before I kill it. Let me kind of see if I can see something in here. Invalid receive. Like if we kind of can take a look at this, right? Is a Zookeeper broker unexpected error from this guy? Okay, so from 9092 was what I was trying to get to, right? From there, it forwarded the port over. Uh, it's getting an invalid receive exception. Kafka channel receive and read. Can you see? Actually, sometimes these things are confusing because they go through different layers, and now we're running everything within the container. Um, so, what could it be, right? I mean, basically, I don't think we need to be. This is only the basic case, right? The basic. I don't imagine we need to be doing anything in there. But what I can do, let me restart. I think we should be able to do a Docker compose uh, down, right? So that might shut it down. I just wanted to. I'm not sure if maybe from last time, could it be residue from last time? I actually doubt it would be, but let's take a look. If I can shut it down and try it one more time, because I'm finding it a little unusual. I don't recall last time. Okay, so this time let's do this. Stop. Let's let's see. All right, let's okay. Let's stop them first. And okay, so it looks like it's good. So these should be all done. Okay, yeah, good. So everything is blank. Okay, so now I'm in this cloud space, and that's the thing. Sometimes I wonder because I am not running all of these things within my machine. Well, we're all, machine within a machine, which is a container, is a bit of a, stripped down version of a real physical machine, but a soft machine, so to speak, running inside this cloud server. So a soft machine inside another soft machine. Sometimes all of these translation, you wonder if it's kind of something got lost in the translation, because I have my physical machine address, all the ports get forwarded, all of these things. It's just becoming quite a confusing thing. So let's give this a try again. If that's what it says, before I actually spend more time into digging into what's going on with this app, and let's take a look at the Docker Compose. Here we go. Let me go back. I just wanted to kind of take a look to uh, launch. Just wanted to. Okay, let me kind of close all of these things. There's too much stuff going on. Uh, Topic. That's what you look at. What is this settings? The settings. Okay, let's close that. Kafka test. Okay, readme. Okay, readme is one we're looking. Preview. Readme. Okay, I don't need that. All right, so let me kind of read again. Sometimes that's what happens. If I find that this is kind of a weird type of behavior, let me go back, ground zero, coming back to my README and kind of take a look, exercise basic Kafka. I mean, that's what I did, right? Start the Zookeeper, Kafka, with Docker, all of these things with Docker with start.sh, and that's what we were doing, and that's what I was doing. So, okay, so let me do this one more time. Let's say this is all clean right now. Even if I kind of get rid of this, we'll just keep one terminal open in here. Let me kind of clear it up so then it's just all clear. Let me kind of do this, right? Does it do it? Oh, sorry. What is going on? Clear. If I just type C, what is going on? Get darker. You know what? Let me kind of exit out of it. Okay. Why is it? I don't know. Could that be, it's got another processes kind of tangling into my space? I don't know. Okay. Let's get back. We have our start.sh. So that's where we should start. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's see how far it gets this time. Again, I'm a little bit kind of disappointed, so to speak, right? I was hoping that once I run, it should at least have something going. So I'm not sure if maybe last time there was something in my space not clear. So, and over here, all right, well, I'll just keep this up for now. And I just wanted to see if this whole thing would come up cleanly. I think that's where sometimes some of these things can be confusing. Like it assumes that you are following a certain steps, but because there can be many variations. I might be doing something else and then run it, and that might have caused some changes in the environment. So the instructions is written in such a way that it assumes it follows things a certain way. But what if it doesn't? Then that's when, for example, just now, that's what I ran into. So who knows what happened, right? For me, that's all I did was, because I had to restart my browser. So before I started this Twitch, I just basically thought, okay, let me go back to the code space and restart my code, reload my code space, right? Because I don't know whether the fact that when my browser was killed, maybe this particular code space state was not cleaned up properly when your browser kind of died in the middle, maybe like that. And so when you try to get back to it, it actually resumes the old session, except it has a lot of residues, maybe something, right? So that is like causing a lot of weird behavior. Although now I'm seeing, after I stop it properly, I'm still seeing some java.net unknown host exception in here. So now the thing is, though, if such is the case, then I have to question to my co-speaker, Cole. His code actually doesn't work. I'm just following, verbatim what he says. Okay, do this, do this, do this, and we follow the changes, right? Just learning how do you put together a Kafka producer consumer, and having the put it run the runtime inside Spring. So that's what we did, right, with the Spring application, and start this and using Kafka template, all of these things to make the connection. And now it's not liking it. So my application is running on port 8085. Okay, let's kind of take a look. Uh, Open in browser or preview in editor. Let's see what happened to simple. Oh, okay, so in my browser. Okay, so we know it is something is still not right. So um, but of course, given the fact that this is still being brought up, that might be okay. So if this is the case, then you know what? It also could be that he was assuming that you run this in your local desktop, rather than running in code space, right? Code space, of course, too, it is a cloud containerized kind of setup within my GitHub thing. So again, there might be something in between the configuration that's causing some of these, what appears to be more like networking kind of induced error, right? Because I'm trying to run this kind of not my Docker in my local machine. So I wonder, you running Docker, inside code space, could that uh, be something to do with it? But okay, let's take a look. But all right, it doesn't appear to be good. So I don't think, like I said, I don't think maybe it is the setup of the code itself, maybe, but this code example should kind of warn people and said, okay, don't run it in code space. Don't run it inside another container that isn't like on. Essentially, it's targeted for you to run on your local desktop and having Docker install, and you run it that way rather than running inside code space. So that might be it too. But let's kind of give it a little more try. But I kind of already sense that it's probably not going to be up. Uh, but I will, in this case, also check with code just to see if he has done this. I will also then run it locally in this case, essentially to like take this part of the code and download it onto my machine and then do a Docker run. But you know what? I might have another 5 minutes. Let me kind of give that a try, because I may be able to, this one I don't worry about now, but let's kind of go back in here and do this. Okay, so let's go back to my Explorer. And so the idea is that I'm going to take this portion of the code base. I wonder if now I don't want to check back into his code, but I wonder if I could at this point, download. Okay, here we go. Let me just download this one, right? Just outside. It's basically download into my work directory. Let me do this one thing. Okay. my folder is actually, you know what? Let me put it into my Twitch folder. I have my Twitch folder. I like to organize my things a little bit easier for lookup. So Twitch. Okay, so now the thing is, whoa, the last time I did a proper thing was back in August. Was awesome, Astra. So let me do this. Okay, let's do this. Co Turk. Let's say the Kafka. Put it in here, and then I will say, let's cite view files. We'll be able to view files. Oh, that's a kind of fine. Able to edit until you close. Okay, I don't want to change anything back to his site. I just wanted to say download. This actually is intriguing me. What is going on? I am already in this. Let me go over here. Twitch. All right, let me select this. There we go, maybe. But the thing is, let's cite view files. Okay, we'll be able to view, save changes to Kafka. We'll be able to edit files and go until you close our tabs. Okay, well, that's fine. I think that means it's for me. I thought it's trying to actually commit it over to his stuff. So, all right. So while this is going on, this thing, I'm not going to worry about it now. So let me do this one thing. And what I can do is basically use my, oops. All right, let me do this one thing. Let me do this one thing. Okay, and let me. All right, so, all right, let me go to my. I just like to do command line. Sometimes it's just so much easier than using an IDE, and then if you don't follow the rules, then things don't work. Kind of like that. So okay, here we go. We have code. Here we go. Now I don't know if this would actually work or not, but let's take a look. All right, here we go. I think we should be able to say common and then Docker. Now I think I need to start my Docker. So let's see if that might make a difference in here. Start my Docker desktop. Let me kind of make sure things are running okay. In fact, I have about 5 minutes right now. So I always thought I won't do this for too long just because I have other things to do. But sometimes once I start this, right? Okay, so let's say over here, I'm good. So okay, cool. So my Docker desktop is running. What I will do is do a start.sh. Ooh. Let me kind of make sure I am not blocking. I am actually. Okay, let me do this one thing. Let me. Okay, I'm kind of big in here, but let me do this one thing. I'm not sure like why. Let me kind of move myself over at the corner is what it is. Okay. And I don't like the I think I need to play around with some of these things, but for now I'm not blocking. So that's the whole point. Okay. So let me kind of do this one thing now. There we go. So basically I just have to change mod so then it can execute. So let's see if this might make a difference and then we'll be able to tell. Okay. Let me do this one thing too. Oops. Let me do this one thing. Sometimes this OBS thing is funny. I think the okay. Let me take a look. I'm better now and not dropping. Okay, let's see. So this is still going. So let's see, and let's see if that might make a difference. And as you can see right now, I am under the gun. Need to kind of get going to do other things too. So let's see how far this goes. If it doesn't get too far, then I have to stop here. Either way, gotta be stopping here pretty soon. And let me see. Somebody's calling me, as you can hear. I'm not sure what that is. Somebody's calling me. Um, let's see. Let me see if I can figure out who is calling me because I can only hear someone's calling me, but I don't know which one. I got too many tabs. Um, that is very interesting. All right. All right. Okay, so you know what I'll do because it is getting so late, so I won't be able to get this kind of to see to its completion today here in the session. So what I'll do is that we'll continue from here. I'm not sure if I'll have time tomorrow, maybe Friday, you never know, because it's going to be snowstorm. I'm going to be just have to be in the house, but I'm in the house anyway. But it's just more like, well, okay, if there's blizzard and I don't have any other thing else that I can't go outside, so I may as well do a stream. So maybe that's what I'll do. How about that? Okay. But I want to thank you again for today, for you having stayed here. And in the meantime, we'll let the Docker compose to run, and then we'll report back and we'll work and resume that. And do not forget to, if you are right in a mood or whatever, we still have spots for Chicago Java Users Group, the virtual holiday get together. So let's kind of get back to here. I think, am I here? Okay. So this is it, right? So go to here and please consider joining us. I think I'm not getting more folks, but we still have spots too. So please consider joining us, right? So let me share with you one more time on here. Where is my tab? This is kind of interesting. Okay, here we go. So please join. CJUG holiday get together tonight. At 7. This is 7 p.m. Central, right? So this would be for Central European time. It's going to be real late, but okay. So just I just share in here, right? Show on stream, right? Covering myself, but okay, so do consider joining us. And then if you can't, don't worry about it too, but just something I like to share. And in the meantime, I wanted to say thank you again. And I think our Docker Compose is still running as such. So, okay, then I won't spend more time because I do need to go now. I'm sure you're also very busy. So have a very good holiday weekend if I don't, speak with you before that. But there's a potential that on Friday I can also do another stream to follow up with you. So, okay, thanks a lot, everybody. And please take care and have a good night. Okay, goodbye.